All right, today's lesson is working with the area of a triangle. So make sure you have your formula sheet out from yesterday. Take some time and go get that because we're going to be adding to it today. And you also need scrap paper, okay? And your calculator. All right, let's just review what we did yesterday. Remember, we looked at rectangles and parallelograms. So the formula for a rectangle is simply length times width. Thanks. Sorry, my pen's not really working with me today. So my area is length times width, and for my parallelogram, it's base times height, okay? So let's just say this formula, this is 60 square units, whatever this one is. What happens when I form a triangle here? Okay, so if I form a triangle, that just breaks that in half, right? Doesn't it make that into two separate triangles? So if I wanted to know what the area of one of the triangles was, wouldn't it simply just be half of this section here? It'd just be half of the 60, so that would be 30, and this one would be 30, okay? If I were looking at my parallelogram here, let's just say my parallelogram is 6 by 4, so it's 24 square units. But if I were to break it into two separate triangles here, if I were to break it into two separate triangles, wouldn't each triangle just be half? Wouldn't it simply just be half of that? So each section there would be 12. So if you can kind of figure out what would then be how does that relate to a triangle formula? Okay, so again, if my rectangle isn't a triangle just half of a rectangle or half of a parallelogram, so wouldn't that mean I'm simply taking half of my formula here? So it is. So the formula for a triangle is simply to take half to multiply the base times the height, just like we would a rectangle, base times the height. But now we're going to take half of it because we only want, if I have a rectangle, the area is base times height, but I only want half of that. So that's why I'm going to divide it by 2 or take half. Okay, both of these are the same exact formula. This is the formula probably that you'll see most often in books or something like that. It's 1/2 times the base times the height. But sometimes fractions freaks you all out. So this is actually what it means. It means to multiply the base times the height and then just divide by 2. Base times the height and divide by 2. All right. So why don't you take some time right now, get your formula sheet, and you can write down both formulas. Even though probably this is the one that you guys are going to look at most often, base times height, divide by 2. Make sure you can see that that is a divide by 2 there. Divide by 2, okay? Take some time, pause the video. All right, so let's do my example right here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is my base here is 12 and my height is 8. Okay, so this is a 12, base is 12 and the height is 8. So let's just follow my formula. So it's base times height and then divide by 2. So you can grab your calculator. So 12 times 8, 12 times 8 is 96. 96, divide by 2, so put equals, divide by 2, then that would be 48. And then this is inches squared, okay? So base times height equals, and then divide by 2. Don't forget to divide by 2. That's what people have the most problem with, is dividing by 2. And the reason we're dividing by 2 is because it is half of I can't do that, sorry. Not a good half. It is half of a rectangle. It's half of a rectangle. If I just did base times height, that's just the rectangle formula. I have to divide by 2 because it's half of the rectangle. All right, let's look at a couple examples. Or actually, let me show you the height real quick. Okay, so they might show you the height in several different ways. This is an easy triangle, the one that you've probably seen the most. This is how they will show you the height. It is just the height right here, okay? They might show it to you on the inside of the triangle, okay, with the dotted line from the base to the height of it, okay, or over here, okay. It will always be perpendicular from the top of the triangle, okay? Perpendicular means it forms a 90-degree angle. So you can look at that height that is going to be from the base of my triangle to the vertex up here. That's going to be what the height represents. Okay, again, this slant here will never be your height. That will only be given if you're going to find the perimeter. Okay, so let's do some examples. Okay. All right, you can do this on your scrap paper here. All right, so we first have to identify what's my base and height. Well, this one's easy because they've only given you two. So this is my base, this is my height. Okay, so it's base times height, divide by 2. So 5 times 6 is 30, divide by 2, so that is 15 centimeters squared. Okay. Next one, base times height. Again, they've only given you 2, so it's pretty easy to see the 2. So that's base times height, divide by 2. Okay. So 20 times 6 is 120. Then divided by 2 would just be 60 square feet. Okay, base times height, divide by 2. Okay, all right, so these next two here, you're going to have to figure out what is the base, what is the height. Okay, remember the base is the longest part of your triangle, so that would be 21 here. That's my 21. Okay, and the height is from my base to the highest point of my triangle, from here to here. So that means this is my height right here. That's my height. So 21 times 8 divide by 2. So 21 times 8, that would be 168, and then divided by 2. So grab your calculator if you need to, okay? So that would be 84, and then there's no units here, so you would just say square units, okay? All right, next one, my base is the longest part here, so the base, okay? So this is 14, and then my height is going to be from the base to the tallest part here. It's also going to, most of the time it will show you in a dotted line and then a right angle, okay? So it's base times height divide by 2, okay? So base times height, that's 70. Gosh, my penmanship. Woo, let me rewrite that. It would be 70 divided by 2. Okay, so that's going to be 35, and that's square units, 35 square units. Okay. Again, please do not forget to divide by 2. You divide by 2 because it is half of a rectangle. All right. All right, you just have 3 questions to work for. You're going to do these 3 questions, and I'm going to check your answers. Okay. Don't forget to follow the formula. Use your formula sheet. So it's base times height, and then divide by 2. If I were with you, I would make you write this out every single time. Area equals base times height, divide by 2. All right? All right, I'm going to look for these answers. If you have any questions, make sure and talk to me. See you later.